Welcome to a brand new episode of the JCMoseleyFC Podcast. This is our first episode of 2025, so wherever you're listening, thanks for joining us and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Yep.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about today. We've had a little break, had a little bit of time away, so we've got some catching up to do. I'm here today, as always, with Christian. Great to have you with us, Christian.
Thank you, Elliot. Good to be here.
We've got a lot to get through. It's going to be a good one. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right in, and we'll start talking about the Champions League.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited, honestly, to be here again. New Year, and first episode of 2025. We have so much to talk about, so much to catch up, because so much has happened since we had our last episode. So we're really excited to bring that to you.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the Champions League table. Just to remind everybody, obviously this season the Champions League has a new format in the group stages. So we had kind of a big table, 36 teams, played 8 games. They played 8 different teams. It wasn't the groups of 4 playing each other twice like we've had before. So the league standings kind of based on your overall position in the table. Positions 1 through 8 automatically qualify for the round of 16, and then positions 9 through 24 go to a 2-leg playoff draw that they'll have against each other. Anyone from 24 below is eliminated. They do not go to the Europa League, so that's a slight difference from before. Teams would drop down to the Europa League if they finish 3rd in their 4-team group. That doesn't happen anymore. So that's very quick review of the format. I thought it was really, really good. To be honest with you, I thought that the new format with the changes, the way that kind of every game on that last day, or not every game, but a lot of the games on that last day had a lot of significance. Kind of things kept changing throughout the day depending on who was going to be through, who was going to be in the playoffs, top 8, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, what were your thoughts now that the group stage is finished? Kind of what are your thoughts on the new format?
Honestly, it was a great format. I was expecting to be to be missing the whole format. I mean, I still really love the whole format, because we grew up with that since we were little kids. But yeah, I mean, the last game was crazy. 18 games at once, 18 Champions League games at once. That was insane, honestly. And that was crazy. Like you had to pick a game that you wanted to watch, and obviously the big game. There were some big games happening during that format, but I want to talk about. Obviously, we're talking about the table right now. Liverpool topping the table, with Barcelona being second, and Arsenal, which is like they're actually having a decent season. They are second in the Premier League, and they are being 3rd in the Champions League. And then we have the LOSC, Lille, the French team that is doing great. They're in the top 7. They are 7th right now, and Aston Villa, which I wasn't expecting them to perform that this well. The Champions League, they are 8th, and yeah, a big surprise with Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. I think we're both expecting them to be in the top 8, but they made it to the next round. I think that's the most important, really. And Manchester City barely made it by just 1 point, So a lot of surprises during this group. I know we're going to talk about some games, but do you have anything else to add about the group before we talk about some games? Because I want to talk about Manchester City against PSG. That was a very shocking game.
No, we'll definitely talk about that. I think I just agree with what you said. Like the surprise of LOSC and Aston Villa making the top 8 ahead of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Man City. I mean, that's pretty impressive for both of those teams, who you would not have thought they'd finish in the top 8 at all. So fantastic job from both of those teams. But yeah, so we had a couple of group stage games in January, which we've never had that before. We've never had Champions League in January, from what I can remember.
Yeah,
So
insane.
that was kind of cool. We didn't have to wait too long between games. But yes, let's talk about PSG Man City. That was kind of the biggest matchup that happened in those final couple of matches of the group stages. Also was a very pivotal game because both teams were going into that game were very much at risk of being eliminated, and at that time whoever lost the game had a very good chance of being eliminated. So there was a lot at stake, but I don't know, it was a great game, wasn't it? Did you watch that one?
I think it was a great game. I didn't watch it. I think I was working or something. I don't remember what I was doing exactly, but I was watching the highlights and then not watching the highlights, like looking at my phone to see, the score. And then obviously I also watched the highlights. And I'm just gonna say that I'm really enjoying Manchester City's downfall because like they were winning 2-0 and out of nowhere PSG just comes back and just beat them 4-2. Like, this is not Manchester City that we know at all. And I think PSG deserved to win that game. Dembele is on fire. They really deserved it. They even though they were like down 2, they didn't give up. They came back and won the game. And they were more at risk than Manchester City. I think if they lost that game, they would have been out of the Champions League. Because they would have like less points than everybody else. They would have been out, so they had to win the game. At least tie it, but winning was definitely the best thing for them. Obviously, Manchester City, they still found a way to get through by winning the next game, but it was a really good game. Like, what about you, Elliot? What did you like about the game? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was just a very exciting game to watch. Of course, 0-0 at halftime as well. You'd never expected that it was going to just explode into life in the second half. PSG had a goal ruled out for a very, very close offside. I think over the whole game, PSG deserved to win. They were the better team. They created the most chances. It was a little bit against the run of play, really, when City scored their first goal, and then you sort of expected PSG to come back and attack a bit more, and then just a couple of minutes later, City scored again, and at that point, I suppose we were all sort of thinking, well, there we go, like City's gonna win this now, but again, just couple of very quick goals after that, and then it's back to 2-2. I mean, it was a period of about 12 or 15 minutes or something like that where it went from 0-0 to 2-2, and it was very exciting. And then obviously PSG went ahead. At that point, I really did like watching the game. I didn't think Man City were going to get back into it. I didn't feel like they were gonna score again. They didn't look like scoring again. It's just not the City that we have watched over the last however many years. And as you say, I'm enjoying the fact that they are not the City that we're seeing over the last few years. It's very satisfying and it's very enjoyable to watch.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a surprise that either of those teams were in that position in the first place. I mean, PSG had a really horrible start to the Champions League. They did manage to obviously qualify for the playoff round in the end. As you said, City just kind of barely made it through.
And even Bayern Munich really struggled. Like they lost 3-0 to Feyenoord. I apologize for this pronunciation.
Yeah, Feyenoord in the Netherlands.
Yeah, 3-0. But they still made it through, to the next round. And that's the most important, really, at this point. And then Barcelona, the game, like against Benfica, was 5-4. I don't know if you see the game or watch the highlights. It was really crazy. Barcelona was losing and it ended up coming back. I honestly put Barcelona as one of the favorites this season to win the Champions League, to be honest, because they haven't won in 10 years. And I feel like the team they have can be really competitive and can really try to win the Champions League season. But
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
we talked about this before on a previous episode,
Mhm.
but I think I certainly get the impression that this is the best Barcelona team we've seen since Messi left, probably. I mean, they're doing well domestically. Obviously, second in the Champions League table. They actually would have come first if they had won. If they'd beaten Atalanta in their last game. That one kind of was a bit of a back and forth one as well. I don't know if you kind of saw that or following that, but Barcelona went 1-0 up. So Liverpool were losing as well. Liverpool lost in their final game to PSV.
I think they just didn't care at this point. They were like,
Which
where would
they
top
were
of the league?
guaranteed top two. I think they it looked like they started a lot of their kind of youngsters, academy players and rotation players. It wasn't their full strength team, but them losing did allow Barcelona the chance to win, come first in the group. Anyway, that's a different game. That one ended 2-2. It was kind of back and forth. It was a good one, but yeah, this Benfica game was crazy because Benfica, I think, were 4-1 up at one point, and 4-1 up with about 15 minutes left of the game or something, and you just don't see teams come back from that.
Yeah,
with that little amount of time, especially 4-1, and then to come back and win the game 5-4. I mean, if you're Benfica, you got to be really, really annoyed that you haven't won that game.
Yeah,
but credit to Barcelona. Barcelona. We've had some pretty famous comebacks from them in our time. Obviously, the one against PSG a few years ago, where they kind of scored last. Was it Sergi Roberto? I think scored that late goal, and
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I think that game was, and it's the UEFA Nola. I think that's like the UEFA Lona. I don't know if you heard of that term.
Yeah.
UEFA Lona for Barcelona, UEFA. So I think that game was so rigged. How can you score 6 goals? They were. I mean, if VAR was there at the time, it was never gonna happen because they were like penalty calls that were like so suspicious, offsides. Even Gilberto's goal, I heard it was offside, and they didn't call that.
This is all pre-VAR.
Yeah, there was all. How Suarez. I don't like Suarez. I think he's a cheater, and then he's literally dived, like, oh my god, I got shot, kind of thing, kind of feeling, and they gave him a penalty. So I think, PSG got robbed that night. So. Yeah, but it is what it is. We got robbed in 2009 by Barcelona. That's a story for a different day.
Yeah, well, that's maybe we could do we have to do a football conspiracy theories episode or something. I mean, talk about all the times we think stuff's been rigged. That would actually be kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Definitely. Even 2022 final World Cup.
Yeah, 2022 World Cup.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe not the final was rigged, but man, they give too many penalties to Messi and Argentina. Yeah, it was suspicious.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that game though, Benfica Barcelona 5-4, that was kind of crazy. I'm just looking through some of the rest of these results. Yeah, I mean, Aston Villa did lose to Monaco on that match day 7, which kind of left them finishing top 8 out of their own hands, really. I mean, they had to win their final game, but if other results had gone a different way, they may have ended in the playoffs. So, good for them to kind of turn around. And that game against Celtic too, the Aston Villa against Celtic game, was kind of an interesting one as well. I was following that one, and my dad actually went to the game and was in the crowd for that one. And Aston Villa were 2-0 up after about 6 minutes, and you thought, well, this is just going to be 5, 6, 7-0, whatever. And then Celtic come back into the game. They get 2 goals. It's 2-2 at halftime. You kind of think, well, this, you never know which way this is going to go. But then, Aston Villa managed to score 2 more goals in the second half. Yeah, that was an interesting kind of back and forth one as well. I think one other that we have to talk about, we did mention LOSC Lille. They beat Feyenoord 6-1 on the final day, which was crazy to think, because the week before Feyenoord had beaten Bayern Munich 3-0 as we said, and for Lille to finish in that top 8, I think they had to have like that big of a swing in goal difference. It was quite unlikely that it was going to happen, but they managed it. I mean, credit to them, they managed it, and they did it in some style.
And yeah, I really think that we need to stop calling the French league the Farmers League now. I think this is overdue, honestly, because if you look at the results all over in Europe, the French teams have been doing better than even the Spanish teams this year, really. Maybe not quite, but like, yeah, they've been one of the best. Definitely better than the Italian teams. Like, Brest, which is like, I don't even know what they're doing in the Champions League, first of all. And now they managed to go to the next round. This is great for them. And, this is like, if you are a Brest fan, like, this is heaven for you. Just like, you mentioned your dad, like Aston Villa, I mean, no offense to Aston Villa, but 5 years ago, I don't even think they were the Premier League 5 years ago.
I think 5 years ago, maybe they'd just been promoted that season, I think.
But they were fighting against relegation.
They were fighting relegation,
around that time. Before Grealish moved to Manchester City, they were still strong. And look at them now, top 8, Champions League, and also like our direct competitor for the Champions League spot this season. I mean, Unai Emery is just doing magic things right now. So, I mean, this is the beauty of this sport, It's like, if you believe in yourself and you really have the skills and you have the infrastructure together, you can achieve great things. And this is beautiful. I love to see this. And obviously now we're going to the next round, and it's going to be the knockout stages, and this is really exciting. And then obviously I don't know if you have anything more to add about the group stage or any games you want to talk about. And obviously we have to move to the upcoming games on the 11th, which is about a week from today, at the time of shooting this podcast, of course. And the return legs will be on the 18th. So by the 19th, we'll know who's going to go to round of 16. But I love this format, Elliot, because there's more games. You know what I mean? And what don't we love about more games? It's like, it's amazing. I love this format. Honestly, I don't know if you remember how I told you I wasn't too sure about this format, how I didn't know if it was going to be successful. But now I think I'm validating it. I'm excited, really excited.
Yeah. I think it's been great, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how these knockout games kind of play out. Obviously, they've done the draw for that, so we do know who's facing who as we record this. We can just kind of go down through the bracket, I guess, and we'll see what we think. So
obviously the games.
PSG is the first one I have on the list here. So an all Ligue 1 tie, an all French tie.
This is great. I love it. It's very interesting because Brest has been a great team and they deserve to be there, and PSG is just there as usual. But who do you think is going to win the title between these two?
I think PSG got to be favourites for that one, especially how they ended the group stage. And, you said it too, Dembele seems to be on fire at the moment, and he's scoring a lot of goals, both domestically and
apparently he's in the Ballon
d'Or
conversation right now because of what he's doing. So, I mean, he's being serious. He's been scoring week in, week out, and he's been doing great in the Champions League. I mean, this is kind of the prerequisites to be able to, be in the Ballon d'Or stuff. So it's exciting to see him.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, would you agree? You think PSG probably favorites, or?
Yeah, I don't see Brest. I think this is the end of the road for Brest. But prove me wrong, Brest, okay? Could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, credit to them for getting this far, and
Mhm.
it's their first season playing in the Champions League, so credit to them for that. Um, but by the way, the winner of that game will either play Liverpool or Barcelona in the round of 16. So that would set up a very, very exciting, but the potential of PSG
Wow.
against Liverpool or Barcelona. Obviously, PSG Barcelona, we've already alluded to it earlier. There's
Yeah.
history there. Um, that could be a good one.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. Honestly, this format is just bringing bangers and bangers. We have like, crazy games throughout this season so far, and we have more coming up. And wow, I'm really
Yeah,
excited. So now Sporting against
yeah,
Dortmund. Hmm.
yeah. Dortmund. Yeah, I mean, obviously Dortmund. Yeah, losing in the final last year, as you said. But this season they've struggled. I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're 10th or 11th in Bundesliga right now. They're really just having a
What?
really bad
Wow.
season in
Yeah,
the
they're
league.
11th. Oh my
Um,
God.
and I mean, again, we kind of talk more about them domestically later, but that's going to be a tough one. Obviously, Sporting lost their manager, Ruben Amorim. He went to Man United. Um, that would have had an effect on them, I'm sure. Um,
Absolutely.
that one, I think that one's quite a difficult one to
Hmm.
call, to be honest with you. I really don't know. um,
I think
you'd think
I
Dortmund
think I'll
with
go.
the experience they had.
Yeah, I think I will pick
Sorry.
Dortmund on this one. No, sorry. I think I'll pick Dortmund on this one and over Sporting. Because yeah, Sporting hasn't. I mean, Sporting is good, but I just think that Dortmund has the experience. They're always in the Champions League every season. Sporting not so often. Sometimes they're in the Europa League and stuff. But I always see
Hmm.
Dortmund in the Champions League. The past at least 2 or 3 years. So I think I
Yeah,
will just go with Dortmund, honestly.
yeah. I think you probably will end up being right, but I can see it being very, very close.
I
um,
agree.
and the winner of that will play either Aston Villa or Lille. So
Hmm.
potentially, whoever wins that game, there's a good chance they could go through to quarterfinals. Potentially, I mean, no disrespect to Villa or Lille, but um, I don't know. That could be an interesting one too. Um, next on my list, I have Club Bruges and Atalanta. Um, Club Bruges, of course, just about squeezing through, even though they lost to Man City on the last day. Um, other results went their way, and they finished 24th. Atalanta finished 9th, I think. So them drawing against Barcelona on that last day meant that they missed out on the top eight, because if they'd have won, they would have been in the top eight. But anyway, there was just that was the thing about this last day of the group stage. There was just so many things that could change depending on a goal here or there, and it really exciting. But Club Brugge and Atalanta, I don't know which way you're leaning on that one.
Yeah, Atalanta. I think they're getting great the Serie A too. So it's gonna be exciting to see. But I believe Atalanta should be able to go through. Yeah.
Celtic and Bayern
Can we
Munich.
talk about the Bayern Munich?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Sorry, Celtic. I mean, you guys are good. I mean, I've never been to Scotland. One day, sometimes, but yeah, Bayern Munich will go through, I think. And then we have Monaco and Benfica. What do you think is gonna go through for this one?
Monaco have been good this season, I think.
Hmm.
I I think, again, like Sporting and Dortmund, that could be a close one. I think I'm going to say Monaco, to be honest with you. I think Monaco will do it. I don't
I
know.
will
What
go
about
with
you?
Benfica. I'll go with Benfica.
Benfica.
I just have the feeling that Monaco is not gonna make it, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And then
Yeah.
Milan and Feyenoord. How do you say it? Do you know how to say it the right way?
Yeah, Feyenoord.
Oh my God, I was so far off. Okay, so Milan is Feyenoord. Uh, I think Milan is going to go through. Milan is actually on fire right now, even though they're kind of struggling in the league, but the players on form. Pulisic,
Yeah.
all those players, they are on form. So we'll see.
Yes,
Do you
I
agree
think
with
you're
that
right.
too?
I think Milan will probably win that one. I think we can, we might talk about it later too, but they've signed some players in the January transfer window, strengthened their squad a little bit. Yes, they've struggled a little bit domestically, like you said, but they're just historically, they've just got such a good history in this competition. Kind of have to back them. And interestingly, if they do win, they could be playing Inter Milan. So we could be having the Milan derby in the round of 16, which would be very interesting.
I don't remember the last time that happened in the knockout stage. Oh, that it happened like 2 years ago or something. Was it the semifinal or the quarterfinals?
I think it
I
was the
don't
year
remember.
that Inter
City
got to
won,
the
right?
final and lost to
Yeah,
City. Yeah.
yeah. It's always good, honestly. Those two. I mean, my dream is to go to San Siro one day, but I think they're like rebuilding a new stadium or something, which is I don't know why people like upgrading all the time. I mean, this is so
Yeah.
like it's San Siro, it's like it's magical. So,
Hmm.
but anyways,
Yeah. So I think we both see Milan winning that one. Juventus PSG. What do you think about that one?
PSV.
PSV. Thank you
Yeah,
for correcting me on that one.
that's a big difference. Yeah, I think PSV because Juventus is really struggling this season. Uh, they barely made it to the round of 16, not to the round of 16, round of 32. I mean, I just want to pick some upsets here, So I'm gonna go with PSV going through this time. And who are they playing next? Whoever wins that time.
They play either Arsenal or Inter Milan.
Hmm.
One of those
Oh
two.
wow!
So
Oof.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the other thing that, just a quick sidetrack, I've found a little bit confusing about this format
Mhm.
is we don't know who these teams are going to play yet. They're doing a separate draw for the round of 16 around February the 21st or something like that, I think. So we're still sort of in this weird spot where we know who's playing each other in the playoffs, but they don't know who they're gonna play when they actually, if they win. And so I don't know. I just find that weird. That's one of the things about this new format that I think is just a little bit confusing. But anyway,
Yeah, I
that's
think
just a
it's really
little
confusing.
side tangent.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop complaining about that now. Um, yeah, and then
the big one
the
now.
other one that we haven't talked about is the big one.
Yeah, we have to save the big one for last. Those guys. Okay, I wish we could cuss in this podcast, but I'm not gonna do that. Those two teams meet each other every effing year, every time. I think this is the third or fourth time in a row that they're meeting, right?
I think
Like,
so. Yeah.
oh my God. Um, I'm excited to see this. Honestly, it's like cinema. You know how we say it in football? We call it, it's like cinema. It's like, you know, it's the Champions League night, PSG against Manchester City. No, sorry, Real Madrid against Manchester City playing against each other in the Champions League again. Apparently, the favorites to win are Manchester City. They have a better chance to win, even though they're not in form. But, like you can be playing shit in the league and then be good in the Champions League. So it's really hard to tell who. Like I don't know who's gonna win this tie. Honestly, I just don't know. I
Yeah.
think it's whoever shows up those two nights, home and
Hmm.
away, who shows us the most. Whoever wants the most is gonna go through. But I mean, Real Madrid to me are the favorites of this one because Manchester City are struggling right now.
Yeah.
They just got battered by Arsenal 5-1 yesterday. So I just don't see how Manchester City is going to beat Real Madrid, but you never know. What do you think, Elliot, about this?
Yeah. I think because it's over two legs, um, I think City are going to struggle really with the form that they're in at the moment. I know they've also spent a lot of money in the January window to buy players, but I don't know. I've said it before. There's something about Real Madrid in the Champions League. They just always seem to know how to get wins. I think City will probably give it a good go. I mean, you can't ever count them out, even though they really are struggling at the moment. But I honestly don't see Real Madrid losing this, to be honest. Especially as they could play Atletico Madrid in the next round. That's one of their two potential opponents. So we could have in the round of 16 a Milan derby and a Madrid derby and PSG Barcelona rematch. I mean, there's like box office, like you said, cinema games that we could be getting here, depending on how things go. So
yeah.
I think it's shaping up to be really, really, really interesting. Of course, the round of 16. So from the round of 16, the format then is the same as it's been before. Just kind of two legs, home and away, to the final. So there's no changes there, but I don't know. It's been great. I think we were both kind of nervous about how it was going to go, but I think we both feel like it's lived up to what they promised that it was going to be, and it's been very exciting, and I've enjoyed it.
I mean, they Americanized it. Let's just be honest. That's how all our leagues here in the US are, like the NBA, MLB, NFL. We have like something like that. So, I mean, it turned out to be really good. I was really worried about how it was going to impact the quality of the Champions League, but I think it's good. The clubs make more money. I mean, we get way more games. That's the thing. 18 games in one day, and now we're getting bangers again in round of 32, then round of 16, the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and then the final. So I'm excited about this, and looking forward to what's going to happen. But who do you think is going to win this? You said City. You saw City going through this round?
No, I think Real Madrid will go through in that time. I don't know. What do you?
I think they're really struggling for sure.
That's going to be the one to watch for sure. That's going to be the one that to keep an eye on, definitely. Is it too early to say who you think's going to win the Champions League final this season?
I think, honestly, I would say between Liverpool and Barcelona, whoever goes through. Yeah, I really think that it's gonna be probably one of those two. That's my opinion. What about you?
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think it would be between Liverpool and Barcelona. They're just both playing really well at the moment, so I don't see any other outcome really. Cool. All right. Why don't we take a little break, and then we'll come back and we will continue discussing all things football. All right, we are back, and we are going to move on to talk about the Premier League. Obviously, while we've been away, there's been a lot of games over that December-January period. In some sense, a lot's changed. In another sense, Liverpool's still dominant. Liverpool probably favourites for the title, but looking at the table, Liverpool currently 6 points clear of Arsenal. They have a game in hand as well. As you alluded to earlier, Arsenal beat Manchester City 5-1 yesterday as we're recording, which I don't think I was surprised that Man City lost, but I was surprised that it was that big of a scoreline. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. I was really surprised. I didn't get to watch the game, but yeah, they lost like 5-1. I mean, that just shows how City has fallen from like the sky, essentially, literally from the sky. But I mean, we knew it was going to eventually happen. You can't win 5 Premier Leagues in a row. 4 is a lot already. I think they won 4 in a row, which is like insane, bro. I think that's the best ever. So I mean, they're definitely gonna still be in the Champions League next season. I think they're gonna find a way to get through. But yeah, they are currently, as of today, February 3rd, time of this recording, they are like, what are the position on the table? I think they're like 5th or 6th, right?
Yeah, they're 5th. They're 5th.
Yeah, right behind Chelsea with 2 points behind Chelsea.
I mean, Yeah, 2 points behind Chelsea, level with Newcastle on points. They actually have the same goal difference as Newcastle, but they have scored more goals, and I think that's why they are above Newcastle in the table, because they've scored 6 more goals. But yeah, one other thing that I think we would not have expected is Nottingham Forest still up there, still in the top 4 currently. They currently sit third. They're 3 points behind Arsenal, 4 points above Chelsea.
9 points. Yeah. Liverpool.
I mean, 9 points behind Liverpool.
Even though Liverpool has a game in hand.
That's pretty amazing, right? Like how we just I was thinking, and I was saying to you earlier, how on earth are Nottingham Forest still in the top 4 after 24 games? It's incredible.
They're taking the title race technically, but I mean, I'm happy for them. You know, this is a fairy tale story. Obviously, I mean, I don't see them winning the Prem, but I think they have a really good chance of being put in the Europa League. Obviously, I hope that they don't take the Champions League spot because we need it more than them. No offense to them, but I mean, imagine you're Nottingham Forest fan. Your club has been struggling for the past 3 years to stay in the Prem, and then I mean, it's a historical team with 2 Champions League to its name. Let's just remind our audience about this: that they won Champions League twice. I mean, it was a long time ago. I mean, I don't think either of us were born at that time, but that was a very long time.
I think it was in the 70s. Yeah.
It was a very long time ago. So for them to come back and be in the top 4 and try to fight for their lives and try to stay in the top 4 at 47 points after 24 games is insane. They're doing better than Chelsea, doing better than Manchester City. They're doing better than Man United. I mean, that's a conversation for another story. Tottenham and United, I don't even know what they are doing right now. But, I mean, you have to give credit to where it's deserved. And I think Nottingham Forest definitely deserves to be where they are. I mean, 47 points out of 24 games is insane. And I just wish them the best.
They've been brilliant this season. And I think they've got a really good chance of qualifying for Europe, which I think it's in some sense it's quite similar to Aston Villa. They're a team that had won a Champions League. I mean, Nottingham Forest have won it twice, but won the competition in the past, struggled, got relegated, come back up, had issues in the league, like they were in that relegation fight, and now they've kind of got a solid team. They've got a good manager, and I mean, they fully deserve to be where they are. The table doesn't lie at the end of the day, and they've been really good. So credit to them. You alluded to it. We have Man United in 13th, Tottenham in 14th. Those are 2 teams that, normally you'd expect them to be a lot higher up in the table. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts about? Should we start with Man United? I mean, what do you think's going wrong for them?
Just take a moment of silence for Man United, man. Sorry. I felt bad. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to offend any of the Man United fans, but this is how you guys are reacting when Chelsea was struggling. As we saw in the past pretty much 3 seasons, like making fun of Chelsea, calling us Chelsea shit. Man, I've seen all the names that you call Chelsea, and it's our turn now because, we're pretty bad. That we're as bad as you guys are right now. So 13th, 29 points, and don't forget about this: 11 losses in 24 games. So you lost, about half of your games, which is insane, right? For United, wow. I'm not surprised because I don't know why they kept Emery. Sorry, not like Emery, but they kept what's his name again? The bald guy, Ten Hag. Yeah, I don't know why they kept Ten Hag after they just believed in him, and then they fired him after just 2 months and brought in Emery. And his name is not. What's his name again? The new coach?
Yeah, Amorim, Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault, he inherited a shit team. I mean, I'm just gonna call it the way it is, a team that has been pretty bad the past couple of seasons, and I just feel bad for the guy. You know, he's like his name is like being brought in the mud, even though he's definitely by far one of the best coaches in Europe. What he's done with Sporting, but I mean, yeah, what do you have to say about this, Alid? I mean, wow, United, the great United, man,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I think um, I think what we're learning about clubs like Man United, there's something wrong on a deeper level. I think at the club. Um, just the mentality that seems to be there, the way that it never seems to be. You know, they've brought in how many new managers since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, and none of them really have. None of them have really done anything. I mean, they've had David Moyes,
Uh-huh.
Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer,
Ten Hag.
Eric Ten Hag, and now Ruben Amorim. So that's at least 6 managers in 8 years.
It's only been no,
At
it's
that
been
point,
12 years since
has it
he
been
retired.
12?
Yeah,
12 years.
2013.
12 years.
Yeah.
You're right. 6 managers in 12 years. So I mean that's still not great. And I know Chelsea fans don't really have much of a foot to stand on there in terms of hiring and
I
firing
think we got
managers,
like 12 or something since 2013, so I'm not even gonna go ahead over that. Yeah.
but you know, I think too, like you see some of the recruitment at Man United has been really bad. I mean, Anthony for £80 million or whatever, like, and what he has like 2 or 3 Premier League goals. I mean,
There's been so many memes about that
like,
guy. I don't know if you've seen those memes on TikTok about how he's the GOAT. It's
yes,
like,
I have.
every time I think about Anthony now, I think about whenever I don't know if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen it somewhere, the edit where he's about to be subbed on the game. I'm definitely gonna find that picture and put it on this podcast. We have to. And he's like so he's like
Yeah,
serious like that is like and he
yeah,
just blew up. People were like, "Oh my god, he thinks Ronaldo, 2013 Ronaldo. He thinks that he's like gonna come save his team." And I mean, it's not his fault, you know.
yeah,
Like that's the thing about football is that each league is so different. So you can be good in La Liga and be so bad in the Prem, and vice versa, or you can be really good in League One and you can be terrible in
hmm
Serie A, you know, because of and then also if you're not on a right team too, you can't perform. You know, it's just I don't know why, but you can be great somewhere and be terrible unless you're Ronaldo or Messi. Then no matter where you go, you're gonna be good. So, but yeah, Anthony,
yeah.
he's a great player. I mean, he moved to Real Sociedad. Is that Real Sociedad? Oh yeah, Betis. Yeah, he moved to Real Betis this season.
Real
The
Betis.
transfer. I know we're going to talk about that later. But I mean, yeah, and Ahmad, you know, from Ivory Coast, you know, he's doing great. I think he got a new contract too. So I mean, I think that they just have to trust the process. I guess they have to go through the hell we've been through as Chelsea, and as a girl Ronaldo said, everybody was blaming Ronaldo. That was Ronaldo's fault. But Ronaldo saw it from the beginning. He's like, you know, they have to pretty much tear it up, you know, from the training ground to everything. But I mean, I'm not a United fan, so I'm happy to see them struggle. I mean, that's just competition, you know.
Yeah, and that's part of football fandom too. Is when you have teams that have been your rivals that are struggling, you get to enjoy the banter. Just as we know, fans enjoyed the banter when we were struggling. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tottenham, um, really struggling at the moment.
What is going on with Tottenham? Wow, I am shocked. Yeah, they're 14th right now with 13 losses. I'm sorry, like they can't talk badly about Chelsea anymore because I know we're pretty bad in 2022. At the end of 2022, I know we're pretty bad that season. Was it 2022 or 2023? It was 2023.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, 2022. That season. I know we're pretty bad then, but oh my god, like Tottenham is like I haven't seen Tottenham this bad in years. So yeah,
Yeah, there's been there's been talk about Tottenham's coach and kind of how he's not really changed his approach despite all the injuries that they've had. So I don't know if that plays into it or not, but confidence is low. They just seem to be struggling. I know they did win this last weekend. I think they won 2-0 against Brentford, which, to be honest, was a bit of a surprise. And they are getting some players back, but again, it's as a rival fan, just enjoy the moment, I suppose.
yeah. I mean,
Sorry to any Tottenham fans out there listening.
we're
but
not really trying. We're not like haters or anything, but this is a football podcast, and you have to have some banter here and there. And yeah.
I think that one of the things that people have asked, and I'd be interested to know what you think about this, is whether their coach should be fired because of this run of results. I know there's some debate about that. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I mean, it doesn't look good for them. I don't see them really being in the Champions League. Even the Europa League is very far-fetched for them. They're 14 points from the Europa League spot. So I really, unless they bring in like Sir Alex Ferguson from retirement, or I don't know, Guardiola somehow is like, oh my God, I've always loved Tottenham. I'm gonna go join Tottenham. Like, I don't see the point of firing him. I feel like they should just keep him until the end of the season at this point, because the season is already messed up already. To say it nicely, yeah. But yeah, I don't. If I were a Tottenham fan or I was an owner, I was like, you know what, just keep us in the league. Try to be maybe top 10, but there's nothing to save you anymore. You're not gonna be Europa League. I mean, Conference League. Not even got that 13 points off a Conference League. 13 points, and there is like 15 games left. Not even 14 games left in the season. I mean, wow,
yeah, it's going to be
really
tough.
Don't see it. I really think that they are better off just keeping the guy. Same for United. I mean, it'd be silly if United even thinks about firing the guy, the coach. But I don't think they're gonna be that ignorant, to be honest. But Tottenham, just keep the coach. There's no point. Maybe probably switch him off after the end of the season, just fire him and get a new one, because obviously that's not where you want to be. But what do you think, Alex? Do you think they should fire the guy?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think to be fair, they have had an insane amount of injuries, which affects any team. Yeah, you could say the coach should have, he should have changed his approach a little bit more, but at the end of the day, that's his job to decide that. And I don't know. I think you're right. I think at this point, the season's a write-off in terms of at least the Premier League. I mean, they're in the semi-final of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup. They're still technically in the FA Cup as of recording, although they might. I don't know who they play this weekend. Somebody we'll have to look into that. But they still, and they're in the Europa League too. They finished top 8 in Europa League, so they're on to the knockout, the round of 16. So they've still, the season's not over for them. I mean, in the Premier League, yeah, they're probably not going to finish much higher than 9th or 10th if they're lucky, but I don't know. We'll see. One other thing I was going to ask you about is we're kind of seeing for the second season in a row, all 3 teams that got promoted are back in the relegation zone. So that obviously last season, the 3 teams that came up went straight back down again. It's looking quite like that's going to happen again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think we do have to say a word for Southampton. Sorry, Southampton fans. They've got 9 points after 24 games. 19 losses. They've only scored 18 goals in the whole season. The worst, for those that don't know, the worst ever team in the Premier League era was Derby County in 2008, I think. They finished the season after 38 games with 11 points. So I think Southampton are going to be close to that. I don't know. I mean, they've only won 2 games all season. They changed their coach, and again, I know they're a team that won the other day, but they're really, I think they're going down. I think they're gone.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on here, Elliot. I think that Southampton, I mean, 9 points, 19 losses. You lost half of your games. You only won 2 games. This season is over. There's no way you're gonna overcome a 10-point gap with 15 games left. Yeah, I just don't see it happen.
Yeah.
I think the only I really see. Do you really believe we lost to Ipswich Town? I'm still upset about that. We lost to them, right? Ipswich.
I think
that's the team we lost to.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that
and that's.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say that we are the only team that Ipswich has beaten at home this season. So the only game they've won at their home stadium was against Chelsea. I think there's a case for we were robbed by some referee decisions in that game, but we're not going to go down that road today.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say before we move on is that Leicester City, I think, still has a shot. The two that are going down for sure are Ipswich Town and Southampton. But I think that Wolves, and it's something between Wolves and Leicester City, because I think West Ham and Everton has the experience it takes. Oh my God, Tottenham is in a relegation battle, bro. You notice that?
Yeah.
They're 10 points off. But anyways, man, I don't see them going down. But I think it's gonna be between Wolves and Leicester. I think between those two teams, that's what I predict. But unfortunately, I do see Leicester going down. And but I don't know. I don't know why I like Leicester, because they're a team that is they won the Premier League in 2016. But I think it's gonna be between Wolves and Leicester, these two teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like you said, Everton, West Ham, obviously both have new managers in now. West Ham have our good old friend and former Chelsea legend, Graham Potter. Everton bringing back David Moyes, which is a little bit of a surprise, but it seems to be working out for them. I think those two teams will be fine. Yeah, I mean, Tottenham and United are down there at the moment, but they'll be fine. I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle in 4 or 5 weeks' time. Sticking with Premier League, obviously, we've got a little bit of a title race going on. We talked about Nottingham Forest, but Arsenal and Liverpool probably the two teams looking most likely to be in the title race come end of the season.
I really think that.
What are your thoughts? What do you think?
I think Liverpool's gonna go through, and that's not because I'm a Chelsea fan and Arsenal is our direct. But yeah, I think Liverpool are just on fire. I don't see them. Even how's the name? Salah is really on fire this season, so I don't see Arsenal for the third or fourth year in a row that they're gonna finish second, which is gonna be crazy for them. Yep, third year in a row. So I really see Liverpool going third. Liverpool on fire this season, unless something catastrophic happened, like it happened towards Chelsea, where we were title contenders technically, and everybody was like, "Oh no!" I saw so many memes online saying Chelsea saying that on the title race, better just getting 3 points, and then we just knew, when we knew that we were not in the title race. We're grabbing points to be in the top 4. We both knew we're not ready yet, so we predicted that to happen. Unfortunately, it happened, but what about you? Do you think Arsenal this is their year for 22 years later?
To be honest, no, I don't. I think Liverpool have just been so good this season. I mean, they've just been very efficiently disposing of teams. They've only lost 1 game all season, which was to Nottingham Forest back in September. That's the only game they've lost in the league this season. Arsenal have only lost twice, but they've drawn more games. I mean, Liverpool have a chance to go 9 points clear next week when they play Everton. That's kind of their game in hand, because the one that got postponed because of weather in the UK. if Liverpool go 9 points clear after 24 games, I kind of feel like there's not going to be coming back from that, especially the way Liverpool have been playing this season. But like you said, I mean, there's always time for stuff to go wrong. I just don't see it happening, to be honest. I think Liverpool's just going to get the job done. That's how I see it
totally
going.
with you on that.
All right, we're back, and we're going to go around the leagues. We'll start with La Liga. Looking at the table, looking like it's going to be a pretty good title race in the Liga this season, actually.
Title race that we've been in, a few years. We don't really know who's going to win. I think we're currently Real Madrid has 49 points after 22 games, top of the league. Then Atletico Madrid with 48 points, and then Barcelona with 45 points. So I'm really excited to see. It's been actually very entertaining since Mbappe joined that league, honestly. It's been a very entertaining league. And Barcelona was also on fire, so yeah. Finally, I feel like the league has finally woken up after Messi. This is finally a season where we're excited to watch matches again. And a Clasico too, it's been dead for the past 2 years or 3 years. But now when a Clasico happens, you're excited because you want to see all the superstars. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think La Liga, in terms of the league itself and the title race, definitely is coming back to what we've come to expect from it. Sevilla down in 12th is when I'm looking at the table. That's one that I kind of think is a little bit surprising. Also, Valencia down in 19th.
Oh my God.
There's a couple of teams that look like they're struggling a little bit this season.
Too. They're usually in Europa League sometimes. Wow.
Yeah. But I think Real Madrid, Atletico, Barcelona, it's looking like it's going to shape up to be a pretty, I don't know, it honestly could be any one of those three. I think I'll give it to Real Madrid just because of the squad that they have and the players that they have. Even though I know we said Barcelona are probably going to be Champions League finalists. I don't know. It's gonna be tight, but I think I'll stick with Real Madrid.
I think they have the depth to make it, and Barcelona has been very consistent. And Atletico Madrid, they're just, I don't know, they're always missing that thing that will propel them above those two teams. I mean, Atletico have the players, they have the coach, they have the team to be able to beat those, to be able to compete against Real Madrid and Barcelona. But for some reason, there's just something they don't have that I don't know what it is to be able to really take on those two giants and really call La Liga top three, But yeah, I mean, I think Real Madrid is gonna go through. I mean, they have the depth, they have Mbappe, that is, by the way, on fire. Like I'm predicting to everyone that, don't roll him out after just 3 months. Like he just joined a new league, he joined a new team, and I think from there, there's no going back from there. He's just gonna keep going up and rise.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for him because I mean, I love Mbappe as a player. He's an amazing player, and we'll see what happens. La Liga McDonald's.
Should we move on?
Sorry, I had to say that again earlier. I just love saying that. So it's the McDonald's Ligue 1, Ligue 1 in France. But yeah.
I mean, as we were saying earlier a little bit, it kind of feels like French teams are starting to do well again in Europe. They're starting to kind of get back up into those European places in the Champions League, especially. There's still a very big 10-point gap, though, in the league between PSG in first and Marseille in second. I don't know if we can drop the Farmers League allegations yet. I still think.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just too easy for PSG. I think
that's the thing. Other than this year, if you think about it, the Prem has been a Farmers League for the past 3 years. Let's just be honest with each other here. I know top four has been back and forth, top six has been back and forth, but the fact that Manchester City has been so dominant, for four titles in a row, but yeah, I think because of how they've been doing in Europe, they've been among the best teams in Europe. Honestly, I will not call this league the Farmers League anymore. I mean, that's at least my opinion again. I think they're as good as, I mean, at least based on the performance of their team. Okay, they're probably as good as probably Syria. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, La Liga McDonald's is not, I mean, Brest is like, they're eighth in the La Liga, and they are still in the Champions League. I mean, you cannot even think about this. A team from League being
hmm
eighth and be in the Champions League and top 12 whatever they are is insane to me. So
it is. I think we definitely are seeing the gap close a little bit. I think partly PSG's transfer strategies changed a little bit. They're not just spending huge amounts of money on the biggest name players. They seem to be developing a little bit more homegrown talent. I think that's going to help to close the gap in the league there a little bit. I mean, they
by
obviously still
far,
are the richest club in the league, so they have a head start on everybody else. But um, yeah, I mean, I think we're still going to see them dominate the league for a few more years, but I think the gap's going to start
I mean,
closing,
Marseille is doing
and
good
other teams are going to
this
start
season.
catching up.
They only lost four. I know they have a new coach and they have new players that came in. Uh, Even Monaco is
Yeah,
doing great. Lyon, the team in France that I support, are struggling. They've been struggling for the past few years, but I mean, I don't watch the Liga to be honest, but I mean, it looks good. But obviously, we both know who's gonna win at the end of the season. It's gonna be PSG, of course. So yeah, Serie A.
yeah. So we have Napoli top of the table at the moment, 54 points after 23 games. Inter, Atalanta, and Lazio make up the rest of the top four. Even though, and we talked about it earlier, even though AC Milan have done quite well in the Champions League, they have struggled a little bit
Hmm.
in the league this season. They currently sit in eighth, which is
Hmm.
low for them compared to their standards, and especially I think with the squad that they have too. They have a good
Yeah, they
team,
are.
so they are struggling a little bit,
Hmm.
but I think they'll come good. But Napoli being coached by
Hmm.
an actual Chelsea legend, Antonio Conte, um, they're doing really well this season. They look to be favourites for the title, although Inter Milan as well, really strong as well, and they're
So
they're,
yeah.
they're going to be up there as well. I don't know. It's going to be that's another one that I think is going to be a really interesting title race. You've got Inter up there on 51 points, but they've only played 22 games, so they have a game in hand. I didn't notice that before. They have a game in hand that if they win, they would go top. So it's gonna be close. I think Serie A is another one of those leagues that we would have probably described as a farmers' league at one point, um, but it's
Absolutely.
definitely
Yeah,
not that way
Syria
now.
is not a pharmacy at all. I mean, yeah, it's great. I mean, Inter Milan, Napoli, and as I was saying, the great AC Milan unfortunately is struggling, but I think they might probably get Europa League next season. Maybe the Conference League, I think. But La Roma has been struggling since Mourinho left, and they fired Mourinho like he was a nobody. And I'm like, you guys were going finals in European competitions, and then you're just gonna fire you, legendary coach like that, and now you guys are not even in the conversation of being even in Europe. So that's very embarrassing for them. But
Hmm
yeah, who do you think is gonna win the title? I really
Yeah,
pick Napoli this season. And that's not because they're top, but I just think that they have a really good squad to be able to
yeah.
make
I
it
think.
to.
I mean, Antonio Conte is a winner. We know that from experience. I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I'll go with Napoli, but I think Inter will give it a very good go. I mean, they've only lost once this season, um, so they're a great team too. Obviously, they finished uh, fourth in the
Hmm.
Champions League table. I think fourth or fifth, maybe. Um, so yeah, I'm not looking at the rest of that Serie A table. I'm not really seeing any other major surprises that we haven't
Yep.
already talked about. So I don't know unless you have anything else to
Bundesliga.
say, we can move on to
Yeah, Bundesliga. Okay.
Bundesliga.
So obviously Bayern Munich or Bayern München is like top right now. They are 6 points ahead of Leverkusen. Uh, so I mean, Leverkusen was like really beating everybody last season. They weren't defeated, but they only lost once. They just drew too many times. They drew 6 times. So I mean, Leverkusen. I mean, is really great. I mean, Xavi Alonso is doing an amazing job with them. Uh, and I'm really proud of Vincent Company. I mean, I'm gonna give credit to him because he's a young coach, and I love seeing young coaches really succeed. So, I know even though he's coaching Bayern Munich, which is by far the best team in Germany, but even what's his name again? Thomas Tuchel, our legendary Thomas Tuchel, struggled, to get them to win. So, yeah, good for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Vincent Kompany for the job he's been doing, going from Burnley in the Premier League to Bayern. That's a huge jump in terms of the size of the club, the reputation of the club, the expectation of the club. But he seems to be handling it quite well, and Harry Kane's on fire at the moment. He's scoring a lot to
Man, he did a good job to move from Tottenham, man.
Yeah,
that was a career saving. His career was gonna crash and burn if he didn't leave that club, man. And now, as you said, the Sixers, you leave Tottenham,
yeah,
you win trophies, and I think this season he's gonna win at least one trophy, which is the best thing. I really hope for him. And like I told you from the beginning, even whenever we started
the Bundesliga
at the
title,
beginning of the season, how I want Harry Kane to win the Bundesliga, and he's on track for that.
Yeah, I think he definitely is, and I think it'll be great for him, especially. I mean, as an England fan too,
he has 19 goals.
He
too,
deserves
which is
it.
insane. It's crazy. Yeah,
19
insane.
goals in 20 games is ridiculous. But yeah, and then, I mean, we talked about Dortmund a little bit too earlier. They struggling down in 11th a little bit. They fired their coach earlier this season as well. I forget who they have in place there now, but they've got some catching up to do if they want to get into those European places.
Look at the table. The Champions League spot right now with Leipzig is 33 points, and Dortmund has 29 points. So they're only 4 points. I mean, it looks really bad because they're 11th, but I feel like they can probably come back if they need to start winning. They've lost 7 times already, which is insane. They still have a shot. I mean, but I think they're probably gonna get at least Conference League, but probably Europa League at the very minimum. I think expectation. They're only 3 points from Europa League spot. So I mean, it looks bad because they're 11th, but I think they still have a really good shot of like coming back. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I think they've got a good enough team. Obviously, still a lot of the same players that were there last season when they got to the Champions League final. So, they've certainly got players with experience and knowledge of how to get out of those kind of situations, I think. But, put together, I think if they put together 2 or 3 wins, 3-4 wins in a row, they'll be right back up there. What about
the last one?
the
So,
Liga Portugal?
obviously, the their coach left for United. I think he's gonna regret it eventually. But how's it going there for them?
Yeah, they're top right now.
Wow.
50 points after 20 games. So, obviously, Ruben Amorim leaving hasn't impacted them too much domestically. Benfica are the closest challengers on 44 points, so they're 6 points behind. Definitely not a insurmountable gap. I mean, the Benfica definitely could catch them, but Sporting just seem to be the best team in Portugal at the moment. Just the team that they have, the way they've been playing. They've only lost twice, only drawn twice. They've won 16 of their 20 games. It's hard to see past
that is true.
a team in that good form, really, isn't it?
Sporting definitely. I really think they're gonna win the league too.
Yeah.
I see Sporting winning that league for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't really watch the league. No offense to the league, but
Yeah.
it's part of the top 5 leagues, so that's when we talk about that. But Who do you think is gonna win? Do you think Benfica, Porto, or Sporting?
I think it will be Sporting in the end. I think Sporting will get it done.
Especially because they only have 34
Yeah.
games and they only have 20 games and 14 games left. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen because technically Benfica is only 6 months behind them, but I really don't see Benfica come catching back. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, definitely.
Should we move on then, and we can talk briefly about transfers? As we are recording this, it is the winter transfer deadline day has just finished. So not really too many surprises. Looking at the deals that were done today, Man City spent £50 million on Porto midfielder Nico Gonzalez. Also, Tottenham signed Matthias Tell from Bayern Munich on loan. I think it's an interesting one. Marco Asensio went from PSG to Aston Villa on loan as well. Those are the ones that just happened today. Obviously, there hasn't. We were saying this off camera. There hasn't really been any sort of major surprises transfer wise. I think the one that really shocked me the most was actually Aston Villa selling John Duran to Saudi Arabia. I think, I don't know, I don't know if we had this debate before, but obviously a couple years ago, Saudi clubs were spending a lot of money to bring players in, and there was some criticism about that. I feel like for a young player with so much potential to go from a Champions League club to playing in the Saudi league in front of 4,000 or 5,000 fans every week, on the one hand, it's a shame, but on the other hand, these players are going to get huge payouts. They and their families are going to be financially set for life. It's just tough.
I think that,
I mean, what do you think about it?
From Colombia, and then he grew up in poverty. So a lot of those players, they don't just support themselves when they move to those countries like in Europe or whatever. They don't just support themselves or their families. They support pretty much extended families, cousins. It's just the way it is, Especially when it comes from poverty, you just have what you have to do. You have to support the family. So I think he was making like 100K a week or something like that, probably less than that in the England, and it's tax. And I know I mean, I'm sure but like taxes in the UK are so high, compared to even other European countries. So at the Saudi League, it's gonna be tax free. He's gonna be making money. Think about his whole family's gonna be well off for probably 2 or 3 generations at least. So I don't blame him at all. He picked his family over his career. It's sad because he's very talented and very has a really good prospect. But at the end of the day, no matter what, those players, I mean, everybody's working for money. You're trying to make money. So I don't blame him, but it's kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I think if you compare it to any other job, if you're offered a 300% salary increase,
Yeah.
you're gonna think really hard about that. That makes a significant difference, especially like you say to players who the background that they've come from is one that's not very privileged, and they've worked themselves into a position to where they can support their family and their community. It's a big decision. So on the one hand, I don't blame him for going. Yes. On the other hand, I don't know. It's just a shame to see someone so young go to a league where the standard's not very high. But that again,
Yeah, so I'm gonna go briefly
it's his decision. It's not my decision.
about the transfer windows real quick because I'm just on Fabrizio Romano's Instagram right now, so I'm just gonna go
Yeah,
briefly over them. I mean, that's just the best way to do it. So Alvaro Morata moved to
yeah,
Galatasaray.
yeah,
I'm just gonna go with the big transfers, because I'm not gonna go through every single one of them. So we also have what's the next
yeah.
one? Oh my God. Okay, Kaoru Mitoma from Brighton almost moved to Al Nassr. He had a 95 million euros bid. So, and he's probably gonna make like $1 billion there too, but he refused to go. And Neymar, how can we not talk about Neymar that got his contract pretty much torn up and he moved to Santos, his original club, his
Hmm.
club that he played there, and he became a star. So, what do you think about that transfer before we move on?
Yeah, I think I read he only played about 7 or 8 games for uh was it Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia. Just so many injuries. It didn't really work out for him, partly because of injuries. But I think there's no denying he's a great player. Um, I think it'll be good for him to go back home to Brazil, back to the club that he was at before. Um, I think it's a move that suits
Mhm.
everybody all around. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's a good move for him, especially. I think he took some criticism for going to Saudi Arabia, and I think he's he's struggled a lot with his injury record anyway, even before his move to Saudi. So um, I think fair enough for him to go back to Brazil, and I hope it
And
works out for him.
yeah, I
Obviously,
really
he's a great
think so
player.
too. I think it's a good move. He's only gonna be in Brazil for 6 months. I don't know if you know that. He's gonna be there for 6 months, and then after the 6 months, he's gonna move back. He's planning on moving back to Europe. So, he's only 32. He's still very young, and it's gonna be sad if that's the end of his career there. I think he has a potential, but he needs to. I don't know why he's just so unlucky to get injured all the time, and I mean, he can still probably get any contract in any European team that matches his style, of course. So I think that this is good for him to be able to to get back out there, um, try to be back on form, especially because of the World Cup coming out in 2026. That's probably his last chance of winning the World Cup, to be honest. So I mean, I wish him the best, honestly. But the next one is what's his name again? Rashford moved to Aston Villa. Do you think it's gonna be good or a bad thing for United to let him go?
I mean, I think he's a great player. I think he's a very talented player. We've seen what he can do,
Mhm.
both for United and for England. Just the way he'd been treated by United recently, clearly there was other things going on. I mean, he's been publicly criticised by Ruben Amorim. I don't think he's ever going to play for United again. To be completely honest, I don't know how he would ever get back into that team after some of the things that have been said about him. Um, I don't know. He's a good player, and I think he's one that probably, if he was, if I was a United fan, I'd probably be sad that he's leaving. I mean, he's a academy player. He's been playing since he was 7 or 8 years old in the Manchester United youth system and coming up through the teams that way and everything. And um, I don't know, but he's just his career's taken a little bit of a downward turn the last couple of years. He's just not been performing at the same level, and I think a move for him is probably a good a good solution. I think it feels like a good time for him to make a move as well. Um, I don't know. He'll probably, he probably would have wanted to stay at United because that's his club that he supports and he grew up playing for. But like we were saying, you kind of have to make the best decision for your career and your family. And we forget sometimes that these are humans. It's not just
Yeah.
little AI characters that we're following around or whatever. Like they're
Mhm.
actual humans with lives and families. And um, I think again, kind of like Neymar, I really hope it works out for him at Aston Villa. I think he is a good player. He's got a great talent. I think working with a coach like Unai Emery has the possibility to bring out the best in him, but we'll have to see
Yeah,
how
I
it pans
think
out. I
that
don't know. What are
it's
your
good for
thoughts?
Rashford, honestly, because I mean the coach is not playing him. I'm sure Rashford wants to be in the England team. He wants to get back on the England team. He missed out on the Euros last time out. So especially with the new coach, he wants to be in the World Cup. So I think that he did the right thing for him. Obviously, I hope it doesn't work out because I'm a Chelsea fan. I don't want Aston Villa to take our Champions League spot. I mean, I don't really care what they do in the Champions League, but we'll see what happens for him. But yeah, uh, obviously, I want to talk about two more transfers, and I don't know if you have any other transfers you want to talk about, you can add. But Ben Chilwell is going to Crystal Palace. I think it's really good for him. He's a great player, and I felt bad that I don't even know how he fell out of favor from our club. He was like vice captain or something, and he was like starter. Don't even think about it. You have to put Chilwell on the start sheet, but obviously a lot of things has happened. He's been injured a lot too, so that didn't really go to his favor. And now he hasn't played. I don't think he's played even more than 2 or 3 games this season so far with Chelsea. So this is good for him. I really hope that he thrives, and I think he's a player that is really great. We won the Champions League with him, but what do you think about that transfer for him?
Yeah, I think it's a shame how he's been treated by the club, really. But in light of the circumstances, I'm glad he's been able to get a move away. I think he deserves to be playing first team football. He's good enough. He obviously has been. It's obviously been decided that he's not a good fit for Chelsea this season. So, I'm glad that they're able to find a move for him, and I wish him all the best at Crystal Palace. I hope he does. Hope he does well, and I'm sure he'll have one eye on the England situation as well with New England coach Thomas Tuchel. First, next international breaks coming up in March, so I'm sure that a lot of players have one eye on that as well when they're thinking about these things. But yeah, just glad for Chilwell that he's been able to
And Joao
get a
Felix,
move, and I
to
hope it
end
works out
from
for
my
him.
side, is that he's moving to AC Milan. I mean, like we just have too many players with the same profile as Chelsea. It just didn't make sense why we had to have such a team with like 5 players playing the same position. We're still having this issue. I think it's good to have depth, but you can expect those players to be okay not playing. You know what I mean? You be a player like Joao Felix is gonna want to play week in, week out. And if you're not able to give that to him, he's just gonna move on. So I think this is a good move for him to be able to go to AC Milan and try to, compete there and try to get back on track. Because obviously he's a very young player. I don't even know if he's 25 yet. I don't know how old he is exactly. But I know he's definitely younger than us. But yeah.
Yeah, I think
What do you think about his move? Yeah.
Yeah, 25, 24, 25. To be honest, I was quite confused why Chelsea bought him in the summer. To be honest, like you said, we have Cole Palmer, we have Nkunku. He kind of is a similar profile to those two players. Clearly, Cole Palmer's going to be the one that gets, the starting spot. So, I don't really think it was ever going to work out for Joao Felix, to be honest. I think it's good for him to get the move. I do feel bad for him because obviously he came to Atletico for a huge fee. It never really quite worked out how he probably would have hoped there. He had the loan at Chelsea, he had the loan at Barcelona, now back to Chelsea, and now he's on another loan. I mean, it's got to be quite unsettling for him, but I think AC Milan will be a good fit, and I think he's a good enough player that he deserves to be at a team where he can start and play.
Yeah, I totally agree with you
and
on
not
this
just sit
part.
on the bench.
Definitely. I mean, it would be a shame if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't like go where he's supposed to be. But we'll see.
Should we spend a few minutes here as we wrap up, kind of talking about Chelsea and how things have been going with Chelsea recently?
I can do like 5 episodes if like I can say everything I want to say about our club. I mean, oh my God, it's like there's so many ideas that are popping in my head right now, and I'm trying not to like say anything bad, but oh my words, it's just I'm just disappointed. I mean, I knew we're not going to be in a title race this season. I knew it was going to be a very long shot. But I really think that we need to try to finish top four this season. Hopefully, bag the conference league. This will be still a very successful season if we are able to do that. This should be our goal, really. Bag the conference league, finish top four. But next season, we need changes. We cannot accept mediocre players on our team. We just can't, you know. And Jackson has until the end of the season to prove himself because he's not scoring anymore. And I'm sorry, I love Jackson. He's an African player. He's young. But the chances that he's had the first few games, if he has scored even half of those, even a third of those, you know, the clear chances he had, we would have been maybe having like 9 more points. And I'm just very disappointed. And Sanchez, he got dropped finally. He got dropped today when he played against West Ham. We beat them 2-1 today. So, I mean, I'm very happy because we're not 12th or, you know, struggling for even top 6. We're still top 4. We have a very good chance of being top 4 this season. But we just cannot have another run of games that we had where we lost 3 or 4 games in a row or whatever. It was awful. And if we do that again, we're definitely not going to be top 4 this season. Like, we cannot do that. There's only 14 games left, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Only 14 or 15 games left in the season. So if you lose 4 games in a row like that, you're done. You know, you're not going to be in the conference, in the Premier League. The Champions League next season. Because the other teams now, you know, this is like the final stretch essentially. The other teams are really going to fight to try to be in the top 4, you know. So, what do you think, Elliot, about our club? But this is what I had to say.
Yeah, I think, you know, it all started so well. It was all going really well. And now we're sitting here, we only have 2 wins in our last 7 Premier League games, I think. You know, lost 3 of those, one of those being Ipswich, which we talked about earlier. Very disappointing. I think part of what we're seeing is the recruitment strategy from the club has not been good. You know, people talk about the amount of money that Chelsea have spent on players, but realistically, we don't have a title-winning squad. We just don't. Like, we're still missing a top-quality goalkeeper. I mean, you don't win the league unless you have a good, solid goalkeeper, and Sanchez is not it. We've needed a striker really for a while. I mean, Jackson had a run of good form where he was scoring a lot, but he seems to be quite low on confidence right now, and part of the problem is we just don't really have any other options. So, you know, we've needed a new goalkeeper, we've needed a new striker. I would say we probably needed a new central defender as well. We did bring back Trevor Chalobah from his loan at Crystal Palace, which I think was a good move, but you know, we're kind of at the end of the transfer window. We haven't signed anyone. We just brought someone that's already plays for that's already our player. We just brought them back from a loan. So I think I'm feeling quite disappointed by the transfer strategy, and then we always seem to be linked with, you know, some 17, 18, 19-year-old that plays in South America or somewhere else in Europe, and you know, that's all great, but you also need experience to be able to actually compete for trophies as well. And nobody in our team is over 30 years old. Like, I am older than every single player in the Chelsea squad, pretty much.
Yeah, don't worry.
And I'm not that old,
guys. Don't worry.
But like, I mean, I'm getting there, but I'm not that old. But you know, I think you need experienced players. You can't just rely on potential and young players and
Mhm.
may or may not fulfill their potential, you know. So I'm glad that we're in the top four race still, even though we had a very bad run of form the last 6 weeks. We somehow still managed to be in top four, so you know that's definitely a positive. I think, you know, obviously with the game today against West Ham fresh in my mind, Maresca made some very early subs, which he's been reluctant to do previously, and I think those changed the game, and that was a positive step in the right direction from him. But you know, I do think as well some of the recruitment from our sporting directors in the club has just been awful, and I don't have much hope that that's going to change, unfortunately, because they keep seeming to want to sign these young players. But you know, but hey, I'd take 20 really, really bad signings to get another Cole Palmer level player again. Like even if none of the other signings worked out, we got Cole Palmer, and that worked out to be an incredible move in the end. That's the gamble you take, I suppose, when you go with that kind of strategy. When you go with young players with their you know, to fulfill potential. And I know we do have some younger players coming from South America in the summer as well that are supposed to be exciting and, you know, should fit in pretty well with our team, but we'll have to see. But I don't know. I think top four is definitely achievable for us. I think what could work in our favor is the Premier League might get a fifth spot in the Champions League based on the new format and the rankings of all of that, which is a bit more complicated than I understand. But it's looking like there's a good chance that England will get that fifth Champions League spot. So it's possible the top five would be enough to qualify for the Champions League next season. I kind of feel like if we don't, like, that has to be the minimum. Like you said, I think winning the Conference League, that's an expectation that we just have to win that. Like, there's no excuse not to win that.
I really think if we can win Conference League and get a Champions League spot, this would be an amazing season for us. This is what we're trying to do. We can still do that.
Yeah.
If we can do that, I think that'd be great. You know, watching Chelsea in the Champions League next season would be amazing. And we're going to be the first team ever to win the Champions League, the Conference League, and the Europa League. That would be amazing. You know, I think this would be great for us. More bragging rights against our rivals. So I think this would be great. But we'll see how it plays out, as I was saying.
We can wrap it up there for today. This has been a long episode, so thank you to everybody that stuck with us for the whole time. We always appreciate everybody that's listening in, and love to hear your thoughts. We've got some exciting football to look forward to. Premier League, Champions League. Next time we get together and chat, I'm sure we'll have more updates about the Champions League, and who knows what else would have happened by that point. So yeah, all right. Well, take care, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.